Let's bring it over to the blue couches. We're going to welcome in our first guest today. Bobby Selecki is an historian and curator here to talk about the story of us, Erie, Polonia. And it is a new exhibit through the Hagen History Center. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, talk a little bit about being an historian and a curator. What are your responsibilities?
Well, the curator is something new because I never had an exhibit before. But I've been researching Polish history in Erie off and on since I was 12.
Okay.
And how I got into that was my great-grandmother came from Poland, and she lived to be 99 years old, and she died when I was 4. And my grandparents and my great aunts, they all lived in the same neighborhood around St. Hedwig. So I was like at the tail end of like the ethnicity part where people still knew they were Polish.
Yeah. Was the Polish community one of the first settlers of the Erie area? A big community of them?
Not the first settlers, but like the highest that we ever had, I think. The 1930 census said 20,000. So.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about the exhibit. This is in the Wood Morrison House, part of the Hagen History Center. What's there? What have you found for us to enjoy?
Well, I just want to point out the Wood Morrison House because people get it confused with the mansion. Mm-hmm. The Wood Morrison House is east of the Washington Kersey Mansion.
Okay.
And it is accessible to second floor by elevator.
Okay, but so, all there on the same campus, basically?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All there. Well, basically, we have 4 Polish Roman Catholic churches in Erie, or we did, and basically the immigrants based their neighborhoods around them. Mm-hmm. We also had a 5th church that lasted to 1939, Polish National Catholic Church. They kind of split off from Rome, and I think a year or 2 ago, John Last did a story on their cemetery. Mm-hmm. But so we have St. Stanislaus is first, Holy Trinity, St. Hedwig, St. Casimir, and I have a personal connection to each.
Okay, to each. Talk a little bit about things that you might have found that surprised you. I feel like you've been engaged in history, especially in our community, for a long time. When you were putting this exhibit together, what did you learn that you didn't know before?
You know, that's an interesting question because I know like bits and pieces of Polish, so I'm like looking at things. I'm like, oh, that's what that means, or mm-hmm. And just the whole. Because what you see in the exhibit, it's like a whole world that doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Like these churches, they all have their own societies. Like I have like ribbons people would wear if they were a member of a certain society. Like one side's a color and the other side's black, because you wear black if you were going to a funeral of a member. A lot of interesting things. I have. Monsignor Ignatiak, who was the first pastor of St. Stanislaus, I have the Bible he brought with him from Poland.
Interesting. That's really great. Great treasures and a great strong Polish community here in Erie to celebrate. This opens, it's going to run all through October, right through the end of January, right?
Right.
Is there a cost to get in to take a look at this exhibit?
Yes, but it opens 10 a.m. tomorrow, regular museum hours, which I think are 10 to 5, but Thursday from 5 to 7, I'm having a reception for free.
Okay.
And there'll be coffee and cake, and anybody could come to that. But if you're a member of the Hagen History Center, you get in free to all the exhibits. Mm-hmm. And I want to point out that I do plan to be there most Wednesdays to give tours, or if somebody wants me to give them a tour, they could call the Hagen History Center, and that number is 814 I think it's 459 1815.
And you know what? They can Google it if they need to
Yeah,
look at it
yeah.
too. Yeah, they'll probably forget it. Speaking of history, I do want to bring up that we were talking off camera. You know your history of Erie News now. When
Yeah.
we were still 12 News, you said
Yeah.
you remember when I first started here. You know
Yeah.
that's been 25 years, Bobby.
Hard to believe. I even know who Edward Lammer is, the founder of the station.
Yeah, so you go way back as a viewer, and we do appreciate that. It's great to have you on the Blue Couches today. Congrats on the exhibit. I think it's terrific. Go check it out. It's at the Wood Morrison House through the Hagen History Center, and it runs October through January. The history of our Polish communities. Go to hagenhistory.org if you'd like a little bit more information. But the story of us, Erie, Polonia, it's going to be a great exhibit, and congratulations for getting that
Thank
together.
you, Amanda.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on the show
Thank
today.
you.
Don't forget your pin. Wear it proudly when you're giving those tours.
I
all right,
will.
Bobby, I love it.